Hi guys, my name is Kasha. Welcome to my Wonderland. It is a coffee time with me, and today I've picked up 5 spooky books that were based on true events. We've all heard about those stories based on true events, and some of them are truly terrifying. So Halloween is around the corner, and we all love some nice spooky stories around this time of the year. So I picked for you 5 spooky books that are based on terrifying real events. First of all, we have My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix, and this is a book that I bought also because of the cover, let's face it. I mean, just take a look at that. But it is a spooky book, so I have been waiting to read this winter. This book was inspired by the so-called satanic panic that took place in America in 1980s. It is the story of a young girl whose bestie thinks that she has been possessed by the devil. When a lot of people started abusing these satanic rituals, and this actually spread all over the world, also throughout the 1990s. And there are reports of physical and sexual abuse related to these kind of rituals. So I'm really excited to read this book because I do dig movies about exorcisms and things like that. And you know, The Exorcist, one of the first horror movies I ever saw. So if you're interested in this book, I'm gonna read it this winter, so you can get also a copy if you want to read it. I'm definitely gonna post on Instagram before I start reading it in case anybody else wants to join me and read this together. The next book is The Girl by Emma Cline, and this book was inspired by the Manson killings. It is inspired by the life and crime by the Manson family in the 1960s. This novel in particular focuses on this 14-year-old girl, and she has this relationship with this another girl who's already 19, and she's like obsessed, you know, with this crazy guy that we all know to be Charles Manson. Charles Manson, if you don't know it, even though I believe everybody knows about him, but he is a criminal and a cult leader that was in America in the 1960s and formed this thing called the Manson family. It was a commune in California where a lot of people committed suicide, and you know, there's been a lot of documentaries and a couple of movies made about this. Also a couple of other books has been written about this, and to be honest, I love all these kind of documentaries about serial killers. I just find their personality so fascinating, so I really want to read this one as well. Then we have none other than Pet Sematary by Stephen King, and this one is loosely inspired in real events. It's just basically that something happened to Stephen King and he went from there and took it to the next level like he normally does. In 1979, when our young writer Stephen King was attending the University of Maine, he was renting a room in a house that was next to this truck highway. So because it was a road very busy with trucks, a lot of like pets like dogs and cats from the children living nearby were killed there. And there was a little cemetery where all these kids were creating this kind of pet cemetery and burying them there. So one day his daughter's cat was killed by one of these trucks, and they decided to bury him in this pet cemetery. And he started to think, you know, what if the cat would come back to life, but he would not be exactly himself? So then of course he started thinking, so what if a kid would die in this road, and what if we would bury him also in this pet cemetery and he would also come back to life? So this is where it all started, and I think everybody knows what Pet Sematary is about. It is about this family that lives in a house, and there is this ancient kind of Indian cemetery next to the house, and one day sadly their cat dies and they bury him there, and then he comes back but he's different. And then on another tragic accident, they lose their kid and they decide to bury him there thinking that he's gonna come back, which he does, but still it's not the same kid. It's kind of like a different, more evilish version of the kid. The book is fantastic. The movie is actually really well done as well. So if you are interested in the story, definitely check the book and the movie. Then we have The Girl Next Door by Jack Ketchum, and I remember watching this movie, and I remember being very uncomfortable watching this movie and feeling very disgusted by human race. Also, as a disclaimer, I should have said this before, but most of the books that I'm mentioning in this video are adult books, so just before you go into them, be aware of this. Because the content might be a little bit more gory and upsetting than regular YA books, so just take that into consideration if you want to read these books. In the 1960s, we follow the story of the 16-year-old Sylvia Likens. Her parents need to leave for work, so they leave her with the neighbors, but what they didn't know is that the neighbors were not as nice as they thought. She was beaten, sexually assaulted, she was malnourished, she was basically dehydrated, and basically she starved to death in a way, plus all of the abuse that she had endured. So in this book we follow Sylvia in her last days. The last book I want to talk to you about, it is There Is No Lovely End by Patty Templeton, and I wanted to talk to you about this book because we got recently a movie based on this story as well this year. The movie was called Winchester. So this book is a story of Sarah Winchester. Since the late 1800s until 1922, when Sarah passed away, she spent all her fortune doing modifications to this little mansion that she was living in. She was building fake rooms and hallways to nowhere and all manner of architecture's oddities, and people said that she was doing it because she was being hunted by the ghosts of people that were killed by Winchester rifles. The story is really cool, and I really recommend this book to anybody that loves haunted houses, as well as the movie, because it was pretty cool. Alright guys, so these were 5 book recommendations of spooky books that you can read during Halloween. Let me know down below what you thought and which other ones would you recommend to me. Give the video a thumbs up for support, subscribe to the channel. There is this cute mug with some bat wings on the corner that you can use to subscribe. All my other social media is listed down below for you guys, and I hope to see you all in the next coffee time. Bye!